Hey, welcome to the Street Spirituality Podcast. So today's guest, Anthar Kharana, is a medicine man, musician, and world-renowned international sound healer from Colombia. He's a sun dancer and a carrier of the Chanupa. He's also one of the sons of a new alliance between the Condor and the Eagle, which has produced a new nation, united by the agreements of the elders of North and South America. I met Anthar recently at the Kiva gathering, after he had addressed the community with an incredible prayer. It really hit a note with me, and I was honoured to have him agree to come to the studio and share some of his knowledge. I really enjoyed this one, and I could have spoken to him for hours longer. Here we go. Anthar, brother, how are you, man?
Yeah, good, man. Thanks for inviting.
No worries, thank you for coming. How have you been?
Yeah, been good. It's been quite a busy year this time, traveling around, but yeah, pretty much, good.
Yeah.
Happy.
Awesome. So we met at Kiva,
Mm-hmm.
which was beautiful, and it was about a week ago. And Kiva was a gathering of lots of elders and lots of teachers from all over the world to come and do an offering and a prayer for this land.
Mm-hmm.
And that was so humbling for me because the Kiva site was maybe 15 miles from where I grew up.
All right.
And it was such an inspiration to see so many traditions and cultures come together
Mm-hmm.
for this land. It was so humbling. So thank you, first of all, for coming and doing that. And thank you for your prayer.
Thank you.
It was really beautiful, and I really connected with that.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of other people did too.
Right.
How did you come to being there?
In the Kiva.
Mm-hmm.
The organizer, dear brother Brett, he's a sun dancer in Colombia. He's gone to sun dance in Colombia, and that's where we met. So we became good friends during the sun dance. And his vision was to bring the Kiva to this land. So he had invited me last year when they started it, but I was already busy doing other things. So this year, it was another year where I wasn't going to be able to do it, but happily everything kind of sorted out last minute, and I end up managing to get there in representation of just bringing some words and some let's say kind of teachings really to share with people, and some insights of all these years that I've been here, coming to Europe, like around 15 years already. So that's kind of how everything happened, and basically I've been invited, being like a wisdom keeper in different festivals and different gatherings in other countries as well. So it was really great because it was about meeting with some of the elders that I have met in other places, in other countries, and the more we keep meeting these ways, the more, well, obviously, the closer we get to know each other better. And I think far beyond understanding the traditions and the practices, in a way, is more about getting to know ourselves as human people, as human beings as well, because that's the core of why do we practice something, why do we understood something. Is just about, in a way, like making us be better with ourselves so we can be better with other people. And in this sense, that's when you meet other elders or keepers or wisdom keepers, that's the strongest pillar to start from humbleness, start from like the basic of human relations. And this happened a lot in the Kiva. It was really beautiful to meet all of them. So it was good.
Amazing. And the sun dance, is that something how many times have you done that? Could you explain what the sun dance is to some people?
Okay, so the sun dance is basically one of the most sacred ceremonies that the Lakota people have in the north of the Americas. And the reason why we do it in the south is because we have a prophecy or a story that was told by our elders, maybe many people have heard about this because it already happened, which is about the meeting of the eagle and the condor. This used to be a prophecy for us that was passed through generations. the idea of the eagle and the condor has been taken different routes and different ways. Some people speak about it as in like the unity of the male and the female, the dark and light, and all these things. And yeah, definitely it's about unity. But in this particular story, it's about eagle representing the land of the north of the America, and condor, the south of the Americas, getting together. The eagle and condor meeting. So this gathering happened actually for kind of the first time around 21 years ago, and it happened in Colombia. So many elders from the north, from the center and the south came to Colombia, to the center of Colombia, to Bogotá, and then to the Amazons in Colombia, and then to the Sierra Nevada in the north of Colombia. So they did like the 3 ceremonies there. I was there. I was part of this thing. I was invited by other elders who were there, so I had the privilege to see all these things, to see things like we see now, but in a time where these things, I mean, I'm talking 21 years ago, so it wasn't much more of this information out there as much as is now. So it was about seeing all the elders that were coming with their translators and explaining why this gathering was feeling like it was the right time to come and share. What was their vision of the prophecy, all these things. And each of the elders brought it was like 4 days. So they brought also their ceremonies, their ways, and they shared it with people who were there in that space. So that was the first time when I entered an inipi. I will be around 18, something like that. And I was already, since I was 14 or something, I'm 41 these days. And since then, I started that journey with our traditions in Colombia. But immediately this prophecy happened and everything happened there. And suddenly we had a tipi with hikuri, with peyote, traditional, I didn't know anything about it that much. I entered the inipi for the first time with the Lakota chief. It was like big things, and also all our elders as well, sharing the Mayans as well. Like it was like a big thing. So from that day, it was kind of like agreed on that level that the new center of the Americas, or the nest for what was called the Rainbow Warriors, was going to happen in Colombia, which is when this gathering happened. And since then, many things start changing. And from that point as well, the whole point of this prophecy, which it was like the unity of the tribes, it started to develop, it started to happen. And one of the things that started happening was that the elders from the north of the America came first to Colombia, because Colombia is kind of the first country of South America. And they sat with the elders there, different elders from different traditions in Colombia, and to revise and to see, okay, is this fine? Is the land open to receive the eagle? Is your land ready to receive our ways, in the way that the more we practice things together, the more united we're going to be. And when a continent is united by the spirit, is a lot stronger. The divisions will be few, as long as we reconnect and recognize the ways of the spirit in the same way, in a very similar way, which is what happens, for example, with South America, with all the countries in South America. For example, if you go the Andean family, so from Colombia, down Ecuador, Peru, Bolivia, it's same word, same vision, same cosmology. It changes in some things, like certain colors, certain clothing, certain practices, like certain ways, but the word and the cosmology is basically the same. So we're pretty united on that level. Now, the arrival of the eagle was a big thing, because this is a land of fire, a dry land of fire. Ours is a green land of water. So there was a lot to actually understand in this union. So finally, the elders in Colombia say, yes, it is true. They went to ask in the lakes, seven lakes that we have, to ask the grandmothers to see if this was true. And they received the agreement, the sewa from the lakes. So they say yes to the eagle to arrive, and then the eagle arrived, and with it arrived their ceremonies. So they came to give us the chanupa, the pipes, in order to be able to do inipis or sweat lodges. And at the same time, they brought the sun dance and the vision quest. So the vision quest being a process where you seek for a vision. It's a commitment that you do for 4 years, and it's different ways that, you know, we could speak so much about it, but in the surface is basically about finding your vision. So you don't really do it 4 times, or you don't do it at a specific time, or you don't do it because you want to enter into the Sundance. You do it because you're seeking a vision, because you really need to understand, why are you here for? What's next? What do I do? What's what I'm really meant to be doing? Then we seek for these visions, and this is what people do with, you know, with other practices and meditation, for example, observing yourself and finding clarity and all these things. So the vision quest works also on that way. But after doing this period of the vision quest, then you are welcome to the Sundance, which is basically 4 days where you fast water and food, and we are doing specific movements or dances around a tree that represents the tree of life. It used to be a training for warrior people, because it's very, very demanding physically wise and mentally wise, emotionally wise. It's like it really is a roller coaster over those few days. But the teaching really, when you see it from outside, because some people sometimes nowadays can see it from outside, supporters or people who see it might not understand it deeply, they still think that we're savages. And I have heard it from people saying, because we do some strong things, like alongside this, some strong offerings that include our own body and things like that. So I won't go there right now, but these for outsider, they look like savaging, like this is just like really old and really like not needed, when you can meditate and you can just do yoga and stuff like that. Yeah, that's true. But this is this is deeper than that. We're not doing it for achieving something else. It's just because it's there. Now it has arrived to our land. It has arrived. Our elder has welcomed it. We are part of it. We are on it now. Because also we know that our medicines now are traveling to the north. So I'll go there in just in a minute. And then this is how the eagle came and landed in Colombia. And the medicines from the Lakota people now has been given to us and incorporated into our practices. This is why, as I said, like, you know, in order for you to hold a chanupa, a pipe, you need to become pretty much a sun dancer. It's a long way to get there. And now they've done it. They've done it with us. They came, they took the dedication. This is from a lineage called Leonard Crow Dog, which was the one who opened the vision of the sun dance to become wider. He was the one who put the prophecy in motion, basically. Mm. So that's the lineage that is with us there, together with the elders. But when they came, of course, this is very traditional and very pure. But they're doing it in the Andes. You know, it was about 2,800 meters high. Conditions are different. They are more tired. Suddenly, we have clouds. The morning is freezing cold in the Andes. Same in the evening. And the sun is stronger because we're really high. So all these conditions, they were not prepared for that. And at the beginning, they were asking us to just go. We only go with a skirt and nothing else, just very basic. And they were asking us without shoes or anything, of course. I mean, like without any sort of sandals, or even if it's ceremony sandals or whatever, nothing. And it was fine, but it was really intense because it was Andean freezing cold, because we started 3:30 in the morning. And even though a few days after, they had to actually be covered, and they were coming out with ponchos and things like that after a few days, because they were like, no, man, this is just like so different. So in a way, the elders were all from Colombia were also saying that this is now so you can taste our own medicine, you know. So it became this interesting process, and now it's becoming wider and wider. And through this process, this is why some people from South America, we are carrying some of these traditions as a way of honoring this new alliance of the eagle and condor. And our medicines from Colombia, particularly, are going to the Lakota people. So some of the medicines that we use, they are already there and they love it, and they come to practice. They come and sit with the elders and listen and see how we prepare it and all these things. And now they just love it. Our traditions are different, but it's just like, it's interesting to see them using our medicines, and they seeing us holding a chanupa. So that's a strong symbol of respect. Seeing you with your mouth all green, and the other seeing me with a chanupa holding here with tobacco and sage. So that's been a very interesting thing. And so that in that process of the Sundance, that's where I met Brett. So he came to dance there. He did his process, and that's how we became friends. And somehow he ended up here in the kiva where we met.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Resuming a long story.
Yeah. And is the ultimate vision to take the Sundance around the world as well, or do you think it will stay in the Americas?
It is already going out. Mm-hmm. But I think that goes beyond our understanding. It's the mother who is weaving that with us, and we all put what we need to do on that vision or that sense of the mother. But it wouldn't be on our hands really to decide that, because if we decide that, or not if, but when we decide that, with very delicate and sacred things like medicines, for instance, plant medicines, it can slightly go wrong. Well, not wrong, but it can go out of hands, and it can go like very, very delicate. And these are things that they just manifest, and they find a way. And with the Sundance and things like that, I'm sure that it probably, according to the vision, it will expand, it will grow more, and it will be danced by the 4 colors of the corn: yellow, red, white, and black. So I'm sure that because of the prophecy and the way it sounded, it will be danced in different, it will be honored in different lands. But yeah, it's something that we don't know. Our future generations will know, and they will probably tell us the story.
Yeah. And then going back to you were saying, some people come and they can observe the Sundance, and there's certain things going on that some people might come away thinking and saying the word savages and things that are detrimental to the culture. And it sort of goes back to what we were saying in the car about having these containers for this, I don't know if you can call it aggression, but for these aspects of humanity that we don't have in our culture. Mm-hmm. And when people see them, when they're ritualized in a ceremony like that, and they don't know how to deal with it. But then in our culture in the West, we're constantly at war. Mm-hmm. People are addicted to countless things. There's mm-hmm. violence in the home, especially with men at the moment. Suicide is through the roof for men. There seems to be a real disconnect on how a man is meant to act, and I think personally how a man can deal with these shadow aspects of himself that we all have. Mm-hmm. We all have this aggression, we all have this protectiveness built in, and we're taught that fighting's bad, and we can't do these certain things, and we have to act a certain way. And without that container that is in a safe ritualized space and making it sacred, like in the Sundance, there's no release for that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think, the ceremonies and like you're saying, like rituals and things like that, they still happening in kind of different context, no? Like somehow, well, maybe not that much. I haven't seen that much happening in this country, but I think something like basic things like serving food, serving a tea, caring for others, just even if it's just friends or family. These are small rituals that, are contextualized in a more modern way. Nowadays, it's difficult to see where the phones, for example, are taking people. That now, you don't even need to see the person in order to connect with the person. You can just write down. So I think it's an easy way to judge that, but I believe it's also another kind of ritual in a way of connecting with people in complete other senses. So I think, it's just a different way. When we use the plants, for example, or the prayers or the music or whatever we use in traditional ways, like one elder say, this is ancestral technology. For example, I used to speak about Skype because that was the thing that we used to use for chatting, but nowadays, like anything, like let's say Messenger or WhatsApp or whatever it is, you want to connect to someone, then you just check on it, you look for the contact and just press on it and send either a voice message or write something and wait to see until that person replies and see what happened. In older days, with our traditional ways, this is the way we use tobacco, for example. One of the ways that we use tobacco is like holding a tobacco in your hand is like, well, let's go to Skype, because in Skype you had to log in. Now you don't even have to log in. But let's think about Skype. Holding a tobacco is like you log into a Skype. Mm-hmm. You log into something to speak with someone. So then you have your tobacco. When you pray with your tobacco, we don't inhale the smoke. This is another interesting story that's been happening there. Maybe we can talk about that in a bit. But this smoke that is not inhaled, it's only blown out to the wind people, to the wind family, the wind allies. Because maybe in that time I couldn't call you, I couldn't use any other way. So I'm gonna go like, well, I'm gonna call my brother, so that he can just hear what I am needing from him, or I really need to see you and I need to tell you some vision that I had, and I pray for that. This is just an example of how this technology works. Then the smoke is taken by these people, these winds, these different winds, different messengers. One of them kindly take your message. And maybe you open the door next day and you do, wow, I need to connect with my brother. There's something that is needed here. And somehow we end up meeting. Somehow we could even communicate at that level. So I will hear your message back, and then we connect at that level. And these things nowadays are seen like fluffy things and fairy tales, like they say here in the UK, and stuff that is just created in our imagination. And that's fine for people who think like that. But I will certainly say that for those who practice it like carefully and really, really like following a very strict teaching on it, you don't need explanation. You don't need to prove to anyone, because you know it works. And it's a very powerful way of prayer, a very, very powerful tradition. So if we take it from there, from those kind of basic ones, and then we put it in modern languages and how like a kid will do it nowadays, he hasn't got an idea of what an indigenous person is. But that's his way. So it's not entirely a bad thing, but it's just how we can get a good, productive, beautiful life out of this kid, right? It's not necessarily about taking his phone away. It's how can we, some values of life, some more things that, we know that are kind of lacking in some cultures nowadays. And I think one of the things with the traditions is that family is very important. In traditional ways, family, your father, your mother is just like incredibly important. So your sisters, your brothers, like from blood, your grandfathers, your daughter's sons. And then from that point, the other family, like the elders who teach you, who pass their teachings. All the brothers and sisters from out there, caring from the core of the family is caring of the core of everything else in the world, including animals, plants, everything. We don't have that connection with our family. We're gonna struggle to find good connections with the outside world. We might want to, like some people say, I am well, no, I don't have time for my family now because I want to work with the brothers and sisters of the world. My first question is always like, and what about your brother and sister from your blood? Oh no, I don't talk about, they don't like this and they think I'm crazy. Well, that's where they need you. That's where you should go and work and learn from them. And once you sort that, man, it's going to be like a soft wind in the morning. Everything is just going to come to you so softly and gently. You don't have to grasp anything as long as you start from the beginning. Because a grandmother say, how can you arrive if you don't start? You need to start. And how I don't feel connection with this Mother Earth. I don't know why these people talking about this Pachamama stuff and things and mother. I don't really know. The question there is, how's your relation with your mother? Oh, no, I don't talk to her. She's a crazy woman. There you go. That's why you think this mother is a crazy woman. It's a crazy creation. So go and, without your mother, you wouldn't be here. Without your father, you wouldn't be here. So it's one of the chapters, number 1 in the University of Life is sort everything first in your blood family. And anything that you see there as a mirror, you will see it out there. I don't connect with the elements of the sun. I don't connect with this rain. I don't connect with these clouds. How is your connection with your father? How connected are you how angry are you with your father? How disconnected you feel from your father? Every time he rains on you, every time he shows you appreciation and says hello to you, how much angry you get? How much anger do you carry for that? All these simple things, So traditions are summarized in very basic things. We haven't even talked about practices, Why we do this with a feather, why we do that with this. That doesn't matter. That at the end is just practices, and that's fine. But the important thing of these practices is that they take us to that core where we can actually be kind and grateful, starting from our father and our mother who gave us the opportunity to be here. It doesn't matter if I don't know my father or my mother. Some cases are like that. So people might carry hate for their father or mother because they were not there, or maybe they just died when they were really young and they just don't know them. But we can still connect with them. Even if they are already in the spirit world, we can still connect with them. And we can still say how much grateful we are for the fact that even if they left, we're still here. And we have the great opportunity and possibility to be grateful in this lifetime, knowing we're just about to die. That we can walk this life and we can acknowledge the fact that thank you for giving me life. It wasn't my mother on her own, or it wasn't my father on his own. It was the both of them. And you put in my path this beautiful sister and brother, or maybe I'm the only one, that's fine too. But that's a beautiful initiation, like you were talking earlier in the car, like about rites and initiation rites and all these things. That's a rite on its own. It's about recognizing why we were born in this family, what challenges, why my father was like this with me, why my mother was like this with me, what's the teaching behind that, because it's a mystery to really understand why we were born in that family. But it's perfect. Definitely there is a big perfection there, but sometimes we are not aware of that. And if we don't understand it, we might end up grasping the rest of our life in the people we meet, in the places we go, in the philosophy we learn, in the practice that we adopted, in this and that, the feather, the fan, the drum, the this, the that, the waira, the beats, and you never find peace. Because when you go back home, wherever is home, it's a mirror of your home, your blood home. And if that blood home is not sorted, you never are in peace in your own home. So you will be always seeking, observing, adopting, doing things until you find peace. And I think this is why I believe that that's one of the powerful pillars of traditions, of ancestral traditions, honoring your family as the core for your walk.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I think that's a really beautiful lesson, because like you said, it's your family is your blood family. That's a real macrocosm of the bigger picture.
Yeah.
And people talk about the elements and the grandmothers and the grandfathers, and you have them.
Yeah.
You know, like you said, whether they're here or not. So it's a really good ritual for anyone to be able to do, to show gratitude for those people in their life and to have that visualization.
That's it.
And once you can start doing that, the rest seems to make sense because it somehow grounds it more.
Exactly.
Especially in the West, where this concept is pretty new for a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
So coming out and saying, okay, well, how do I pray to the water?
Yeah.
You know, it's all around, like, where do I even begin? I can't even fathom the water. It's so huge. And it's like, okay, well, pray to your mother.
Yeah.
You know, wake up early, pray to your mother, do something.
Exactly.
Really important.
Exactly. Yeah, that's it. And it's like, you know, pray to the water that was in the womb of your mother before you were born. That's how it all starts, even before that. You know, the little blood of your mother that gave birth to this tiny being that you became. We're all made of water. How do I pray to that water? No, that water is not disconnected from this one. I definitely not disconnected from my mother, because she gave me life.
Yeah.
And the water of my father and the water of my mother got together to give life. And so as you said, it is a mirror. It really is a mirror. And all these questions could be answered in a mirrored way on where we are actually at with our own blood family, our lineage. And some people say, no, but that's not necessarily true. I mean, we can just move on forward. Yeah, but, you know, I mean, without them, we wouldn't be here. Simple as that. It's not like they were just like, oh, they're just making a favor, they're taking care of you. No, without them, you just wouldn't be here. So it's not just random. So, yeah, I think that's an important one for these days. Family.
And when you can, you know, say that there has been issues with your mother and father, and there is this energetic charge of this negativity, and it's hard to be grateful. Keep practicing that, and will turn from the feeling of victimhood to gratitude and maybe understanding, and that can unlock so much healing.
Yeah.
Once you just start to let go of, you don't need to maybe understand why this was this way and why this was another way. It is as it is. And
yeah, I mean, there definitely, certainly, there will be some complicated cases and things that are not just as easy as just saying, oh, how can I just be grateful to this horrible thing that happened? And that is a complicated answer to say, because, for example, I'm also a therapist, and I've been like seeing people for around, maybe 14, 15 years, and there's lots of these stories as a sort of constant, which is not good relation with the father, no good relation with the mother, no good relation with the family. Like, it's kind of a core sometimes, and some cases are very complex. It's not that easy, but I suppose in a way, the way I see it is like
okay, we're back.
Cool.
It's funny, we were talking about disconnection and suddenly the camera disconnects.
That's how it happens.
Where were we? I don't know. I can't remember.
Yeah, me neither. But
how it goes. Yes. Maybe we'd spoken enough on that. I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay. So you mentioned earlier the medicine and Colombian medicine. What are the traditional Colombian medicines?
Yeah, it depends. I mean, Colombia is very diverse and it's very rich culturally talking, and we have lots of different indigenous traditions, and different traditions are still pretty alive and still very active. I think these days some particular medicines, plant medicines and practices have become quite popular, and those who are not quite like those are kind of like undervalued or seen as something that is not as powerful as. One of the main medicines of the entire America continent is tobacco. Tobacco is what unites us from the very bottom of South America to the very top of North America. and different traditions, different ways of using it. So these medicines carry a particular teaching, or it's like a living bookshelf, I would say. It's like where the ancient wisdom lays on. And what happens is that by practicing with this plant, first and all, you are reconnecting with the word and the practice of your ancestors, if you were born there. And therefore, when you understand the practice around that particular spirit that carries that ancestry, then the practices unfold, the teachings, the information, the wisdom behind it. And that's how we learn. That's how we grow with this. Now, depending on the area of Colombia, then you have different medicines. For example, we have yahe, which is ayahuasca, same as ayahuasca, but then that's in the Amazons of Colombia. But then within the Amazons also we have different other medicines that come mainly from tobacco, but also with other very important plant for us, which is what people call coca leaves. The leaves, which we call hayo, or there's different names for this. But from these leaves, many other medicines come, and great wisdom come. And it's the two most sacred plants that we carry. Apart from them, of course, there are very, very diverse amount of plants, especially if we think about a rich area of plants like the Amazons. But funny enough, I would say I grew up in a way of being taught by different elders from different traditions. But actually, before going into that, because just to answer that question first, I will say that based on that experience of understanding different traditions from the country where I was born, I could say that one of the biggest medicines that we have is the word, which we call mambeadero. The sacred word, the circle of word, círculo de palabra. So we grew up that way. The medicine that was given to us was listening the stories, listening the songs, listening everything, listening anything, from complex stuff to beautiful stories to difficult situations and beautiful outcomes, beautiful stories, beautiful songs with a meaning. And that all accompanied by plant medicines that will then enhance that experience. But really the main thing was the word. And this is why maybe for someone like me, who probably is the same case with many other brothers and sisters from that country, from Colombia, is that the most powerful moment in a ceremony, in a ritual, is the word. Not just the doing. Because doing, anybody can do. Anybody can. This is what's happening today. People see how they do an inipi, then they do an inipi. People see how they give ayahuasca, they give ayahuasca. People see how they do with cambo, they give cambo. What is the word? What is the wisdom of this person who's been walking his path with determination and with lots of endurance to get to this place where he embodies the word of his elders? When he embodies the word of wisdom that his elders had and that his future generations will have. And it's a word that just by being heard, understanding that it's not our word, it's the word of our plants, it's the word of our ancestors that are talking through us. These words plant themselves in the hearts of people. And through these people, they become alive. The way they act, the way they speak, the way they dream, change. Just by listening to beautiful words. And this is when a ceremony with plants, for me personally, gets really serious. because you are not just having a slap in your face with whatever you are practicing at that point, and big, wow, my goodness, yes, all that, yeah, great. But also you have this beautiful word of wisdom that is holding you, that is helping you grow, giving you even homework to just go and do before you return to practice again. Words of his ancestors, which is your ancestors. So all these things, I would say, is the main medicine, Great word. Great word. But along that, yeah, of course, we have different, from the indigenous in the north, we have the Poporo with the Hayo, which is a very deep practice of meditation. But also in the Amazon, we have Mambe and Ambil, which is kind of the correlated to that, which is also the mother and father, as in the north, which is a very, very serious thing for us, that is also going wide right now and is getting a little bit out of hands, very sadly.
Is that a plant?
Yes, it's 2 plants. It's called Mambe and then Ambil. So Mambe is same from the leaves, and Ambil is from tobacco. So they go together. It's like a marriage, and they always go together. And there is a beautiful word behind this. It's like very, very sacred for the people who've been following this word and who's been sitting with the elders and who's been given these medicines by them, understanding the depth of this and how these have actually helped you to change your own life. When you see that this is happening with no guidance whatsoever, and it's just becoming a business, and it's just people are buying it, and all this is difficult to see. It's very difficult to see. But something that we have learned, or I have learned, I will speak for myself, when I go back and speak with some of my elders who I really don't understand. Years ago, when I was traveling to Europe and I wasn't really understanding why is all this happening, how come that people are using these things and there is nobody sharing the word behind it, the tradition, why people are using it just like whatever. And it's like, wow, that's shocking when the only way you've seen it is one way, and is the place where that comes from. And then always the best answer from an elder was, eso no se preocupe, vaya en dulce. So don't worry about it. Go and sweeten them all. So do I step on the judgment? Do I stay on these people are doing the wrong thing or stuff? Or I stay still strong with the sweetness of our mother to share this word whenever is needed, so that people who are using it and misusing it, hopefully will make some sense for them, and hopefully will make them rethink the way they're living their life. And then the miracle of life, which is the mother herself, will, continue sprouting on those people. Those who don't want to listen, that's fine. They will have to fall in the ground. They will have to face this, face that, face these things. Yeah. People nowadays in many circles, they tell me, like, we don't need a guidance. We don't need any of that. The plant itself is our own guide. I'm my own guide. And I say, yes, that's true. When the medicines are passed on to you, it's like, you remember that pill on that movie Matrix? It's like the 2 pills. So one pill is, you go your way. I just don't need any guide. I'm just going to go my way, do things as I want. Yes, of course. What's going to happen there is that most probably you're going to have to start from the beginning, from where our elders started, trying to understand this thing, trying to, I did it this way, it didn't work, I did it that way, it was intense, I did it, blah, blah. All these things happen until you finally get into a conclusion after practicing it for quite some good time, maybe after 10 years, when you come back to say, actually, yeah, you were right, now I'm there. So you might end up wasting lots of time getting to the same place of understanding and say, actually, yes, this is the sacred way that I go. This is the connection, the relation, the real relation with this medicine. After doing this is it. And it's very likely that it's going to be the same. And the other pill is the beautiful drop of nectar that has been decanted by the elders and is kindly offered to you and saying, this is the wisdom. From there, evolve yourself. From there, evolve everything that we know. You are a new generation. I don't know it. Now it's for you to evolve it. But don't waste time. Take this knowledge. Take this practice. Take this so you don't need to waste your time. And with this wisdom, your spirit will fly higher than we did with our ancestors for the new generations, which we don't know. Now we don't know this technology. We don't know. So use it wisely. You know? So, yeah, that's my thing about medicines. And yeah, I can keep talking more, but I don't know if there is any other specific question.
No, I think it's such an important conversation to have, because I've had an inner conflict for a while, and it seems to be, and I mean, I've spoken about it on a different podcast, and I really don't want people to think I have anything against whatever anyone is doing. I'm not in a place of judging them, but it's been really drilled into me by my teacher, just the level of respect and training that is needed to hold space for people and put in working with a plant as powerful as ayahuasca or peyote. I just don't see how you can go to the Amazon, train for 3 months, no matter how hard you're training, and come back and serve that medicine in a safe way. And maybe I'm wrong, but I just, for me, there's two things. There's a conflict in my mind because, okay, has an indigenous person told them that that's okay, and then, you know, I'm wrong. It is okay. I mean, how do they, are they getting a blessing, or are they doing it without blessing? I don't know. And then I guess it stems from my own experience, having sat with indigenous people and sat with people who weren't indigenous, and just the difference. And when you were saying about the word, and it doesn't even take many words, it can be one sentence, and you can just feel the lineage and the combination of their ancestral line and their ancestral spirits and the plant spirits, and that can really, like you said, it plants a seed in you, and then that can grow. And then been in ceremonies with beautiful people, and again, really want to push it forward that I'm not in a judgment, and the ceremonies have been great, but they could talk all night and it won't have the same effect. And I'm just, it confuses me as to why or how people can do that with integrity, and are they getting the blessing from indigenous people, and what do indigenous people think of that? And also, every land has their own medicine. So, you know, indigenous people are incredibly generous to come here and share their medicine. You know, you can sit with indigenous people in England, around London. We're so lucky. And we have a plant. We have mushrooms. That's the plant that grows on these shores, and it has the same qualities as these plants. But people aren't willing to really put in the work with that plant because there's no framework. There's a couple of people. One person I know, I won't say his name on air, but is working with the plant of the mushroom. And the spirit of the mushroom, I should say, in that practice. And it's really starting from scratch and connecting really at a base level. But then, you know, people seemingly aren't willing to do that and would rather go to the Amazon and go to South America and learn these more exotic ways of healing without really connecting with their ancestry.
Yeah, there are a few things on what you said. Like the first one is just to talk how an elder says about how she sees this thing about learning in 3 months. She says, because someone was asking her that question once. She said, it's an easy answer for me right now. I'm going to take 3 months course on how to operate an open heart surgery, and on the first day of the 4th month, I'm just going to go and operate your father.
Wow.
And with that, that's the answer. How can people know? It's the same. It's our ancestry. Same. What happened when we had some complications of an office who didn't want us to work on that sacred place? They come to us and they said, you have to leave now. Because. And she says to him, would you like me tomorrow? I go to your office at 3 when you're really busy and I tell you, you gotta leave now. Because. Will you leave? No, will you? You need to finish what you started. Please let us finish what we started. And we go. So, you see how the parallel of the two worlds are happening. People not understanding the tradition, and also the tradition not understanding the modern world. So this is a homework for both parts. So I think it's as serious as that. We're talking about plant medicines and things like that, but let's think, for example, about let's say chiropractic, which is quite delicate. You can crack someone's body and you're really talented and really well trained, but if someone has just gone for a short course, like 2-3 months, are you going to allow yourself to lay there waiting for this person to crack you all without saying, oops, sorry, I just didn't know that one? Or will you go to someone who's got such experience that is cracking everything, but he's got like a really big history behind? So it's same thing, I will say, with any therapist, with any anything really. So it's same with the plants. Is it just experience, or is something that you really need to take care of yourself? What prayers you are putting inside, what integrity, like you say, is happening alongside all this ceremony and all this thing. And how much of that is not just a business, how much of that is not just this or just that. So people have to be discern. People have to discern and ask their hearts. One person approached me, I can't remember in what country, and she came to me and she said, I heard what you say and I agree. But for someone like me who don't have experience, and I want to go to an ayahuasca thing, how do I know that this is true? Or that, that this is kind of like something like that, what you were talking about, deep and stuff? Or is it something just kind of like maybe with no experience, just business focused and stuff? And I said, well, the way it approaches you. If what approaches you is a business first, that's what you get. But if what approaches you first is a beautiful word from someone who dedicated their time to sit with you and talk about life, understanding life, and by understanding that his little understanding couldn't help him or her, he will kindly take you and sit you with the grandmother, because he couldn't. On his little understanding, we sometimes can't do it. So we need to take him to the grandmother so they can, find themselves. So that is a little bit of that. But I think that's, as you said, it's difficult these days because it's not about judging. And many people, I have posted some articles about it. With the big majority of let's say, feeling in alignment with it. Couple of people who disagree, which is fine too, based on the fact that, as I said earlier on, these traditions don't belong to anyone. This don't belong to that tribe or this tribe. And I kindly say, yes, it's fine. I'm not here to argue with you. I'm not here to make conflict. But all I can say is that those plants would have never been known if these people wouldn't have shared it with the world. How can people will know about ayahuasca if the elders didn't share it at some point? People just wouldn't know. That's it. So how can people have sometimes be kind of like arrogant to say, well, it's kind of mine, you know? It's like, and how did he get to you? How did he even get to the people who show it to you? So there is something to honor there. You know, these guardians, there is people who actually been taking care for so long generation. So the fact that it's actually here should be honored.
Yeah.
Just that, you know, just that. So yeah, I think that part of the training is what make a difference between a healer and a seeker. A healer has been healing since you were a child. Just by hugging your mom will feel better. Just by hugging your little friends in the school, and they were feeling better. Or maybe you were singing the little song that they taught them, and suddenly their little friends are feeling better. They are already healing.
Yeah.
And life passes, and traditions might come, might not, but this and that comes, you know, yoga, meditation, whatever it is, comes, and, you know, it does the work. And the main thing, I believe, the core of the existence of a healer is that you know that your commitment is to humanity. There is nothing that's going to change that. Nothing. And the best way to be good with humanity is be good to you first. How do I take care of myself? Well, I need to learn the ways. I need to learn how to eat well, how to rest well, how to work in things that will make me happy. So once I have all these pillars on my life, then I can share life, I can share that love, and I can be there for anyone who needs, if I can help. Even if it's just a word like we're doing now, even if it's a hug, even if it's just sitting and listening to them. Or if it's practicing something, taking this plant, doing this thing with this plant, blowing things and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, it doesn't matter with what. Your hands, massage, like whatever, Reiki, it doesn't matter. But the commitment of a healer is for humanity. It's not for business. It's not because maybe this will give me some money. It's because this is kind of cool. If you know your commitment is to humanity, that's there forever. But sometimes, especially in these days, we know that spirituality have become the new trendy, the new profitable business. So being spiritual is actually not just so cool, but actually is quite profitable. Actually being really spiritual is very profitable. So we live in days that things have changed, and that touches a topic that we were talking earlier on in the car with the way we walk the medicine wheel, and the way we understand how we actually practice things in our life, because sometimes practices are just practices. And what's the point of a practice if it's not leaving us with anything? It's better not do anything, because at the end you don't leave with nothing anyway, so why to do something? Sometimes why people dresses like something and they say things in a language they don't even understand. They don't really quite understand what happened there. And at the end they go like, well, I don't know, maybe something good might have happened, you know? Yeah, surely, spirit might have done something. But sometimes I believe like, you know, sometimes why we do things if it doesn't leave us with something. I think sometimes it's so special to do very little something, but it leaves you with everything. You know, very simple acts like helping someone can leave you with everything. Simple acts like, you know, being quiet in the background and go and sort everything that is happening there without waiting for recognition can give you everything. You know, but sometimes we invest so much and we get nothing. Mm-hmm. When I was in my teenage, I also got interested in many cultures. And I was studying like Gnostics and Rosacross and like Kabbalah, Sufism, like kind of ancient cultures and traditions. I was never really drawn to Hinduism, but more like Buddhism and things like that as well. So kind of reading, and there was not really many books at that time, but it was kind of experience going to the schools as well, spiritual schools, being quite young. And I got so saturated of terminologies. Like the Taoist people were talking about this and that, and then the Buddhists were talking about this, the Gnostics about that, the Rosacross about this. My goodness, it was a point where when I was trying to say something simple, I wouldn't know what word to use, you know? Like it's either a Kabbalistic term or a Taoist term or a Hindu term, or what term do I use? So it was leaving me with nothing. It was leaving me more confused. This is when I understood that I had to leave all that and return to the basics, which it was there already.
Yeah.
Just the nature, the elders, the simple things, the simple music, which I was just tempted to find something more exotic. And the simplicity was just like completely not making me feel so excited about. But there you go, you know, it was about finding this, what really helped me to, in a way, ending the search, you know. It's about ending the need for keep seeking. Yeah, it doesn't mean that we don't want to evolve, we don't want to learn new things. Of course we do. And of course I'm really interested into knowing other cultures and know their ways and what they do, but not for me to go and do it. It's not like I'm just going to meet someone from Mongolia who I met recently, and then now I'm a Mongol and I'm just going to put all these things, and now I do throat singing and I play the drum and now I'm a Mongol. It's like, no, well, I mean, I just admire what you do, and maybe if I can sing some of that, great as well, but I'm not going to pretend to be a Mongol, because what for? Maybe if I want to dedicate my entire rest of my life because I feel that's the core, that's what I want to do, maybe yes, but just short, kind of brief, being a Mongolian just for 3 months and then being a Buddhist and then it's conflicting, I believe.
Yeah.
And that's why the understanding of your own culture is so important, I believe, as well.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that's, again, such a Western thing, because we're so spiritually starved, because it's something, you know, we have religion and that's the main thing here, but it's just, you know, I think for so many people, myself included, there was something lacking. There was no weight to it. There was no substance. There was nothing that I could connect with to make me feel better right now. And in the present, it was always like, okay, I do all this and I have this discomfort, and then when I die, I'll get something. It's like, well, I don't want to live like that.
Faith, you know?
Yeah, and with our cultures, with the witch hunts getting destroyed, and with the druids who are, you know, a massive spiritual class here, with everything was, it was an oral tradition.
Yeah.
So you didn't write anything down. So any literature that we do have was written by the Romans through anthropology, and they had an agenda because they wanted to take over. So who knows? So all these books that are written on Druidism, you know, who knows?
Yeah.
And then you got the, you know, Wicca tradition and stuff that started in the 70s. So there's nothing really to grasp and hold on to. And I really felt that at Kiva, when I have these beautiful traditions. You got the Wiradika doing their ceremony, and other Mexica people doing their thing, and you got the Mongolians, and it's embedded, it's deep. Someone asked me, like, when they go into the Kiva and they do their prayer, how do they know what they're doing? Like, well, how do they, is it specific? And it's just like, it's just in them. And then it was like someone said, okay, well now, you know, let's sing some English songs. And then you could see people looking around like,
which one?
Which one? Like, you know, and the ones we do have, maybe they're from Rainbow Gathering and they're not even actually traditional. What language did we even sing in? And I was, you know, sitting there with my drum, like, just feeling this real pain for this, like, where is it and what happened? And I was incredibly fortunate to stumble upon a teacher who really understood this and was like, you know what, we just have to connect to the land. The land will remember. We ignore the books, ignore what people, you know, just connect to the elements. And it's not going to happen in this lifetime. It might not happen in the next, but our grandchildren's grandchildren, you know, let's lay the foundations for them. Let's find. And he's taken lots of traditions, like like the Sweat Lodge, but it's not held. He's not trying to say this is an Inipi, this is a Temescal. It's just taking the real raw elements, the fire, the rocks, the water, the steam, and saying, okay, let's just connect to the land and let's pray to the land. It's offerings. Let's give back.
Yeah.
And that's why the Kiva thing was so big for me, because it was feeding and nourishing that land that we need to connect to. And the biggest takeaway from Kiva for me was like, let's just do this. Let's just get around the fire and pray to the fire. And ask for lessons from the fire. Okay, you learn these beautiful songs and go to travel and experience these incredible cultures. But what are the bare bones of what they're doing? You know, you don't need to come back wearing all their clothes and singing their songs and using their plants. You can just say, you know, oh, actually, you know, they go out every morning and they pray to the land. Okay, let's do that here. We have our forest. You know, and it is happening. It is happening, but there's something really powerful about this land that it's awakening. And I think it's just a case of the respect, and going back to our plants, the mushrooms. They've been so disrespected for so long. People go, you know, with this real unconscious, you know, eat this heroic dose, you know, eat 5 grams and you'll meet God, and you might meet something that resembles, you might meet God, who knows, but are you praying to the spirit? Are you giving offerings? Are you giving an offering every time to the ground that you pick a mushroom, or are you just taking them and storing them in a plastic bag in your closet and then eating them at a festival? Or, you know, that's just, I think we really need to start from the beginning again.
Well, that touches something very important that is also very like aligned with all the Andean cultures, which is, we call it pagamento, which is a payment, a sacred payment. So there's different ways of doing pagamento. There's different cultures, like pagamentos in Bolivia or in Peru, they do it differently than we do in Colombia. Using different elements, and again different, let's say, ways, but it's the same intention, same kind of idea, let's say, with different ways depending on the territory. What happens with the pagamento is that somehow in history it was brought that we achieve material things. We need material things. We need to achieve things and collect things and all that. And for those things you need to pay for. So let's say you go to a shop, you ask how much is that, I don't know, that massive TV, 59 inches, whatever. And then they say, well, a lot of money. And you go, all right. What's the first thing you do? You think, how am I going to get that money? I'm going to maybe borrow some money here. Then I'm going to do it with the card here. And then this money I have, whatever you do. Then you make a plan. When you have the plan and you got the resources, you go back to the place and you say, can I have that TV? And they say, yes. Can I have the money? And then you give the money, you pay first, and then you have your TV and you leave. This is how it happens every single day. Before you enter here a tube, you pay first. You don't go to the tube and pay later. You pay first. You want a bottle of water, pay first, and then you get it. Everything is like that. What happened with the spiritual? When did people forget that they had to pay spiritually? What do I pay for? Or do you remember that you said, Mother, can you please help me with this? And she helped you. Did you pay back? No. Mother, now I really need to change my job because this job is driving me crazy. Then she helped you. Did you go back to her to say thank you at least? No. Did you even pay her beforehand? No. So let's take that little example into what's happening with fracking, mining, all these things. What is what they're doing? Asking the mother, give me oil. Do they pay back? Do they take care of those pipes? Do they take care of the forest? Do they take care of the water after they did their amazing work that they think they're doing? No. They actually leave it even worse. So they're not paying back. Same. What happens if they keep taking the oil? What happens if they still replenishing and taking and taking? Well, now the water filters under the earth, rivers disappear or they get poisoned, animals die, trees die, we die. So it's not sustainable unless we pay back, unless we reforest, unless we stop doing that. If it's not possible, then let's do it the best way we could, which we know this is kind of a fantasy, but let's think it could be possible. And the waters have been taken care, and the trees have been taken care, the animals have been taken care, then there will be a little bit of a balance. But doing it with this complete unconsciousness, thinking that this is forever. They know this is not forever. They know this is going to end up, but the thing that they know is that they are not going to suffer from that. I don't care. As long as I have my money, as long as I have what I need, I don't care of the future generations, because I'm going to die in 20, 30 years or whatever. So I'm not going to be, I'm not going to have to suffer from what we're doing. So I don't care. I don't care what they are going to suffer. Same with the spiritual world. It gets to a point where things might not flow anymore. You got these contacts, you got these degrees, and you got these diplomas and whatever, and things are just not flowing. And then that person goes and asks, why? And then the spirits give him this role. He opens it, and it's all the spiritual debt that he's got from everything he's been asking since he was a child. And he has not paid for any of them. He hasn't given back. He's just piling. Everything is mine. How do I give back? How do I pay? Well, simple things. There's many different ways, and that's where the traditions comes. That's where the teachings come to help us with these things. For example, everybody's a different case, but let's say an example. Teach to people what you know. That's a way of giving back what it was given to you. Now I'm going to teach people. Now all this money that I have, I'm going to support these people. So I'm going to start paying back. I'm going to make space so the new can come. Why nothing new was coming anymore into my life? Well, because you're packed, Mother says. I'm abundance, she says. How can I replenish you if you are full? The only way I can replenish you with new is you need to empty yourself. You need to give back everything you think you are, and then I'll give you more. If you do it, if you giving away is actually replenishing me, helping me, then I can give you even more. You see? So even if you don't do it with me, Mother says, I'm kindness, I'm abundance. I will do it to my son, to my daughter, if you need it, you know. But this is it. How much we are paying back, or how much are we doing these pagamentos? No, like you were saying, sometimes people don't do offerings, sometimes people don't do these things. And this is a way of taking care of that, you know. Like maybe if you are going to need for a project to take this land, and let's say for a reason you need to put down a few trees or whatever, then just go and pay and plant 10 times more of these trees somewhere else. Pay back, you know, like when was this concept of asking for, you know, people say, oh, I was asking for a new partner and she came or he came. Oh, that's like magic. No, it's not magic. You ask for it, you get it. I was needing this money and I didn't really know where it comes, but I was really asking and it came. That's like magic. No, it's not magic. You ask for it, but have you paid back for saying thank you? You know, and our elders teach us, pay beforehand. Make a pagamento. So you're going to do an event, don't rush it. Hang on, sit, pay to the mother, explain why you are going to be there soon, not now. Like you will come here with people, you will come to do this. We're asking for permission. Can we do it first and all? Can we? Would you allow us to do this thing? If he says no, it's no. How do you feel is no. Definitely it's difficult to explain these things, you see. There are readings that you can do. We use the tobacco for that. We use the cotton for that. We use different elements for that. That gives answers, straight answers as well. But something that I have learned is that, and it's difficult to learn, is that sometimes our human brain thinks that something should be like that. And when you go with the spiritual understanding, it goes like, no, actually it doesn't. Actually it shouldn't. Then you go, well, I got the website there. Well, I got the publicity, so we are going with it anyway. But you know that spiritually this is a big risk. And people get here, people got sick, people got hurt. There was a tsunami coming. I mean, whatever else was happening there. There was a sickness going around. People die. I don't know what happened there. And the spirit knew it. This shouldn't be done. And then you have to go to your bed to say to yourself, why didn't I hear myself? You know, so these things are very important when we do events, when we do gatherings and everything, always to do pagamentos, to go beforehand and pay to the mother, do specific pagamentos and ask for permission. And when the permission is granted, then move forward, publish dates, publish websites, publish all that. But know that you are in great alignment with everything, with the spirits of the land, with the people, the guardians of the land, all these things, you know, and everything just flows. Apart from that, of course, you need good logistics, you need good people also in the computer doing good work as well. But once all that other stuff is done, you sit to see flourishing, you know?
Yeah. 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 It seems so obvious when someone explains it.
Yeah. It's very obvious.
It seems so obvious.
Yeah.
And I remember one of my teachers saying the same thing. It's like, and especially when training to perform healings on people, and you are literally potentially changing the web of life and tweaking it, and you know, whatever reasons that person got sick or was dealing with this issue, and you as a healer are stepping in and helping them and saying, okay, well, you can now go this way. You don't have to carry on down this path. You're playing God in a way. So to do that without giving anything back, no offerings. And I stopped giving Reiki because as I was doing more trainings, it was just like, well, first of all, it took me 6 or 7 hours to become a level 2 practitioner.
Okay.
That's no time at all. That's an afternoon.
Yeah.
And then it was like, well, what do I give? Where do I give offerings? I was asked my teacher, where do I give offerings? Oh, well, the offering is allowing the Reiki to move through your body. Right. I was like, really? That doesn't seem right. You know, I just where do I give some tobacco? What am I connecting with? Yeah. It just didn't seem right, and there didn't seem to be any real weight behind it. So I stopped. I mean, very, very, very rarely, and I would always give offerings beforehand to, I don't even know where it's going. It's Reiki spirits, I don't know, but just something. And even in other aspects of your life, you know, saying grace is probably the most popular one in all cultures, or saying thank you for food, and that's such an amazing thing to do. And the beginning of my journey really with spirituality, or whatever you want to call it, was going vegan. You know, many years ago, and suddenly becoming conscious of where my food came from, what had to happen for me that to get to my plate, and that living things had to die, and that didn't seem right, and just having that thought process before putting something in my mouth or cooking something or buying something, which leaked out into so many other areas that, you know, and then something good would happen. It's like, oh, wow, you know, it suddenly wasn't like an ego trip. It was like, oh, you know, I'm so lucky. This is great. It was like, oh, I'm so lucky. Thank you. Thank you so much. And that's actually very healing, to realize that you're getting these gifts from something.
Yeah.
It's not all just luck.
I think, just again, touching a little bit of what you spoke earlier, in the sense of getting somehow the guidance of your own land, your own tradition, your own resources, is a very important topic touching to that. Because I remember, like, quite a while ago, when this prayer of the medicine of the Americas having to play a big part on these contemporary times, for the people to remember their roots, their traditions, their ancestors, which come from all these prophecies, different prophecies that we were given. One of the things is that when this medicine arrived to a different land, this is a great word from an elder once, when we were talking about, in fact, for instance, we were talking about the sun dance and the pipe. And we were talking why sometimes medicines from other lands arrive to a territory. And with a beautiful word, we go into the understanding that another medicine or another spirit or another practice arrived to a specific land, not to stay, but to remind that land of what is being lost. What is our sun dance? What is our pipe? What is our prayer? What is our thing? What is our plants? What is our animals? So they shouldn't be there to stay. They shouldn't be there to adopt. They should be there to guide towards your own ancestry. Because we humans are like seeds that were given the beautiful gift from the Great Spirit to have legs. So we can move, we walk, we go away, around. But we really are like trees. We grow in that spot, wherever you were born, even if it's a bed, a room, whatever, but in that very spot, not somewhere else, like a plant. And as such, we grow and develop, and here we are talking. As such, we carry the medicine of that place. Whether you were born in the Andes, in the mountains, whether you were born in a desert, whether you were born by the sea, in the plains, in snow, I don't know, wherever you were born, you carry, you're part of it. It's like, imagine, for instance, going back to that topic of ayahuasca, of Yahe. You hold an ayahuasca, you enter into that spirit, what do you feel? Jungle, where it belongs to. When you are born by the river, or in a mountain, or in a sea, you carry that medicine with you. Wherever you go, you are that medicine. Now, when these medicines come from other lands, for example, here, maybe 10 years ago, when I was doing a ceremony, a circle or something, I will hardly hear anybody singing these songs from South America.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
It was like some people will sing them. People who probably are been in the path for quite a while, or it just happened that they probably went to South America, but it wasn't like now. Singing one of these songs was like something very special. And nowadays, sometimes I feel like everybody knows more songs than I could ever know. Like, it's like, wow. It's like, now I'm learning songs from people from other countries. It's like, oh, that's a nice song. It's like, and I go like, oh, wow, I didn't know that song. I remember that song. It's like, wow. And it's great. But what I feel is how interesting that people from our country are, for example, singing to the Condor, which is up there flying in the high Andes. And yeah, he might at some point he's gonna receive this prayer and he's gonna be happy. But what about the owl who is just here in this oak?
I think that a lot.
What about this raven that is here in this ash tree?
What do they think? Yeah.
Yeah, well, they are just there like, who's that Condor guy? Do you know? No,
Yeah.
I don't know. Who's
It's like,
that?
come
I
on,
don't
bro.
know.
I've been sitting up here for
Yes,
years.
like,
Where's my
Who's that
soul?
guy? I don't know. He sounds like a cool guy, but I don't think he lives around here. Have you seen it? No. Have you? No. All right. Well, I don't know who are they talking about.
Yeah.
I don't even understand that language, but I think that is a bird somewhere. I think they sang something in that English language that we have heard here. So they say something about a bird, a big bird or something, you know. So when we think about nature and the spirits and everything that's around us just as relatives, where the owl didn't just do ooh just because he doesn't have anything else to do. It's because he's saying hello. I'm here. And how can we say hello to him? Ooh, well, maybe yes, we can give it a go. But maybe I can also sing a song for the owl. Or I can just say with a mugwort, dry plants in the fire, say thank you to this spirit of the owl who's here.
Yeah.
Thank you with these dry leaves of the yew tree. I pray for you because I know you see in the dark. With this, may this yew help us to see what we don't want to see or what we can't see with these eyes. Thank to you. Thank you for coming to visit us. May this yew remind us of who our ancestors are, you know, things like that. So then the yew tree that is somewhere out there, it goes like, wow, you know, the owl is observing and is saying, he's opening his wings and bringing the ancestors. He might just fly over, opening the gate to visit the invisible world, you know, and these things become simple. Yes, and we share other things. Fire, great. That's different business. We share water, great. Rain, clouds, sun, moon, earth, wind. That great. We honor them all, and this is part of our mother. This is part of the dress of our mother. But the family, my brothers, these trees, my brothers, these animals, my sisters, these plants, these waters, these ponds, these lakes. Who says hello to them? So, since I remember when I never really knew that I was going to start traveling. I never imagined this in my life. I left for the first time when I was 26. First time I was leaving Colombia, and I wasn't even coming to do this. I was just following love, and I was just like with my partner. She was living around here and didn't speak any English whatsoever. It took me about 2 years to really understand, because during that time I managed to learn the language. I managed to all this and just to really sink in myself. But I had to almost pretty much forget who I was in order to understand a new language, a new culture. And after that, all I had to do was go back to Colombia to really remember the great possibility that was, because I wanted to kind of quit already. And then my elders told me, don't you understand of the possibility that is right in front of you, which is opening the path of healing for our history with Europe? How does that happen? Well, they need to remember who they are. How do we help on that? It's not that we are the wise people who are going to tell you who you are. No, but maybe with the things that we have here that help us to remember who we are, we might inspire them to help them to remember who they are. It's not in our hands to do that, but we can just give with what we have. What do we have? Well, look, this is the way I honor the fire. So you go like, wow, I never really honor a fire as an altar. That's a different thing. Well, people go to a stone circle, they don't know what to do. They go to stone circle and they go, wow, amazing, isn't it? Yeah, they touch it, wow, it's incredible. Let's take the photo to put in Facebook that I was in a stone circle, and that's it. You kind of go there and try to meditate, but yeah, I don't know what happened. Yeah, cool. And I put a crystal. Yeah, fine. What if people are have more insights about how to reconnect with elements of nature just by acknowledging them, just by communicating, creating a language with these stones, trying to create a relation? So how do you relate to someone, to something? Going to basics. Let's say I don't know my brother here, and I just go to your home, open the door, go to your kitchen, cook something, and I sit and eat, and you don't even know who I am. You probably already are calling the police to come and get me. Who the hell is this guy? I won't do that. I'll first ask for permission. Well, at least I will ring the bell and say, I'm hungry. Is it possible that we can cook something here? I promise I'm not coming here in war, or I don't want to do. I'm really hungry. Would you mind to cook something? Could we cook something together? I promise I'm not a bad person. I'm just hungry. You go, actually, you know what? Yes, come in. It happens. It can happen. How do we do in nature? We get to a stone circle. Give me the wisdom. Give me everything I need, because I go only for half an hour because it's going to be traffic jam. So please, just give me all the wisdom, please. And then I touch you. Oh, come on. Just give me wisdom and help me, because I need a new job. And then help me with my partner, and then help me with my health, and then help me to travel next year, and then give me some money for this. Like asking for everything, and then, okay, it's time to go. Let's go.
And then getting annoyed because this is not working.
It's not working.
Why isn't it working? This stone circle
is
rubbish.
It's just rubbish. You see, it's coming all the way to here. My goodness, such a pilgrimage for nothing. So, because if we don't know, we just don't know. You know, you will be that person entering someone else's house, and all he wanted was to eat, but he wasn't really respectful. Yeah, like saying, "Hello, I'm here. I'm hungry. Can I actually sit here, and can I have the permission to sit here and chat with you and tell you my stories to see if there is anything you can help me with? But I feel I need to be here. And I have heard so many stories of you, dear elders here. And now you don't speak this language, but I'm here to try and understand yours, so you can maybe hopefully understand mine." How some elders manage to interpret or decode some language like the Ogham alphabet for the trees, and some others that are before the Ogham, in order to understand the language that was created to the trees, that was saying how to use this tree, when to use it, what for. So, just wrapping that up, basically, I feel that these ceremonies from other lands, and I speak for my particular purpose, is about inspiring people to find their own way, to find their own elders, not just to go alone. Yeah, it's good to have some guidance, that for sure that helps a lot, but also it's good to acknowledge your land. It's good to acknowledge the elements of your land, your trees, your animals, your minerals, your elements, everything, your people, your ancestors. And then the job is done, If you come with your ceremonies and you come with this to stay, it's like another metaphor here, or another mirror. What does the pharmaceutical do to people? They don't want you to heal. They want you to depend on them. So they will give you a pill so you can get sick of something else, so you can continue returning for more pills and more pills. In older times, they will give you a pill to get better. But by getting better, you won't return. But that's the job, isn't it? So same with this. The idea is that people don't depend on any of us people traveling with ceremonies or with traditions. What I want in my heart is that I can be of an inspiration, if I can, by doing the things I do, which is the things that my elders do, which is the things that their elders do. And if that can be of an inspiration for a generation that is seeking things, and that can help them to sprout a way to connect, a way to do this, and that they don't have to depend on me or my ways, great. As I said, job is done. Then I can move somewhere else and continue inspiring other people. Now that people are so inspiring and respectful with their own trees and their own environment, their own ancestors. Yeah.
And it just made me think, we were talking about earlier in the car about integration, and then again with the microcosm and the macrocosm and the bigger picture,
yes.
and saying, okay, go to the Amazon, go to South America, go to North America, observe these living traditions. But if you're not bringing them back to integrate into your own traditions, that's a different thing. So, go and observe ayahuasqueros, but not in the maybe not in the sense to bring ayahuasca back, but saying, okay, what do? They sing to the plant, they pray to the plant, they give offerings to the plant, they've learned the songs of the plant. Everything is about respect. Okay, I'll go home, I'll give offerings to my plants.
Yeah.
I'll learn the songs of my plants. I'll ask them to teach me. We'll start from the beginning. That's how we're going to move forward, I feel. And to take the lessons and then to integrate them into what we can. People pray to different trees. Okay, we have trees. Let's pray to our trees. Let's replace the condor with the owl.
Yeah.
But with the same thing. Okay, we can sing the same song, just replace the different words.
Yeah.
And once that tweak happens, it could be an amazing thing, because there's so many people wanting to help and wanting to share medicine.
Yeah.
And I don't believe for one second that the people going to these lands and training for 3 months and bringing it back have any bad intentions. I think it's totally the opposite. They just want to help.
Yeah.
But yeah, maybe by just tweaking that slightly,
exactly,
and using the framework to apply it to their culture, then that would create a massive change, I feel.
It does, yeah. And language is a very important one. I find that's been the key for to rescue many of our traditions, because basically what happened in Colombia is that when the Spanish arrived, they were very intense on the biggest part of the land. They actually had to go to the Amazons and to the Sierra Nevada, which is the highest mountains at the end of the Andes, and they shared with the elders up there in the mountains and deep in the Amazons all the traditions and all the stories and everything, all the ancestry, so that they could return it to people when the time was right. And this time was same according to this what I said at the beginning with the eagle and condor. It's kind of very similar tradition, very similar view. So these elders came to the center to reteach the traditions, to give it back to the people. And like I was saying in this gathering, part of this prophecy speaks about that when the Spanish arrived there, and they were destroying so much, and it was like really big fights as well with some of the warrior tribes as well. They some of the elders say that they knew that the only way that the tradition could survive was, even if this sounds hard and maybe sounds hard in these times where women rights and everything are really important these days. Around these days, with this big thing that was happening, just people destroying, killing, raping, all these terrible things that were happening there unexpectedly, the only way that they found to rescue the tradition was by, let's say in a way, saying or approving that the women will get mixed with the Spanish. So, because they said that they knew that big part of our ancestry is held by the women. The other day we were talking with someone about a scientific person who was telling me from his scientific approach. And he said, well, nowadays, actually, that makes sense to me, because we have demonstrated that from the ovule and sperm, the ovule information, DNA, is 85%. And the extra 25 is from the head of the sperm.
Wow.
Because the head of the sperm is only 25 and the tail is the rest of the information, and the only thing that enters is the head. Wow. So the ovule has carried the entire humanity's ancestry, the women. So actually, scientifically, we could say the same. So the elders were saying, if we give this to women are going to save our ancestry. So 500 years after, the sons and daughters of this alliance that happened, we will look like our enemies. We will have the face of our enemy. We will have the colors of the eyes of our enemy. We have maybe the hair of our enemy. And we will return to their lands to share the tradition and to show them with their own face and their own color that the tradition didn't die. And actually, this tradition is what's going to save them from the mess that happened. Wow. So this is a kind of important message for that, because sometimes in these days, for example, some people with these shamanic things or the indigenous things, people sometimes speak like about mestizo, or people who are mixed with, we had mixed with Spanish, so some of us look different. And people speak that then an unbroken lineage is more important than a broken one, and these things like that. But I understand where they come from, but also it's very important that it doesn't matter if that happened, because there was a reason that the lineage was broken. The important thing is that the actual tradition didn't die. It was there, and we had to relearn so many things from these elders who came from different parts and teaching us about this. Like, why so many elders from different traditions teaching us about who we are? We didn't understand until they told us the story, that their elders were taught by their elders about this prophecy. So, in a way, people can recover the traditions from the root. Your elders, the Druid elders, the Celtic elders, are there. Somewhere in Wales, somewhere in Ireland, somewhere in Scotland, for sure. Maybe somewhere in Cornwall. England is a little bit difficult because it's been taken from a complete different culture. As you know, Anglo-Saxons, Vikings, all these things. I read the other day the history, and I was like, wow, this is like a big thing. And all the Celtic was pushed to the corners, wasn't it? So they're there. And all I say is, look, more than like what you're saying, I think is great value, which is starting from somewhere. So get the inspiration and then tweak and, continue with the inspiration. But at the same time, with the prayers, even if we don't really understand how it works, praying that the elders show up, that the elders of this land, the people who kept the tradition, they don't even consider shamans, they don't consider themselves any of that. They just know something that was carried by their family and their lineage. They know how to talk to the trees. They know how to use these trees, how to use these plants. They know the Celtic calendar. They just know these things because they just know it. So the more we pray for them to appear, the more they're going to appear. Simple as that. And if they go like, oh, seems like people want to learn about this, and then, they appear, and then they start bringing names, practices, ways, songs, melodies, instruments, food, drinks. They bring everything they know from what they know, and it becomes a practice. It becomes great. It becomes big. So I think it's very important to consider that these elders who are hidden somewhere out there, they pop up and they start bringing the traditions back, and that's the way. Why I was saying that language should be something very important. If people spend good time learning French or German or Cantonese or whatever, it'll be good to learn your Celtic language, the ancient languages, because then that song of honoring the water translated into the Celtic language with a Celtic melody, with a Celtic instrument, make absolute sense.
Yeah.
So then it's like, we are the same. You're singing to the water in your language. I don't understand what you're saying. I'm singing to the water in mine. Maybe you don't understand. I play with this instrument, you play with yours, but we're doing the same. So they're simple things, but it's important to believe in the dream. Believe deeply that the elders are there, and that the people who know the Celtic tradition and those who are seeking these traditions or other traditions from other countries, the elders are there for them to, to give it back to the people.
That's such an amazing point. I've never thought of it that way. I've always, where are the Celtic shamans? Where are the healers? Where's the people that hold this knowledge in it?
Mm-hmm.
Knowledge is a sum of parts. There may not be someone right there who has all the answers, maybe, but there will be someone who knows how to sing in the Celtic language. There will be someone who knows how to cook the Celtic recipe.
That's it.
Thank you. That's really
it.
Flicked a switch.
Yeah.
And then bring that knowledge together, collate that, and then suddenly there's a culture and a tradition again. Wow. Thank you.
Look at the Druids, how they used to do it. Druids were not just a spiritual person. They were like the accountant. They were like the mathematician, the doctor. They were Druids on their wisdom.
The bards, who were the musicians.
The bards, who were the poets and the musicians and all that. So different tasks, but surely there was the elder, you know, the Gandalf, you know, the incredible elder magician who will understand,
Merlin.
or Merlin. Yeah, that's right. Like Merlin, just like really understanding the depth of things and actually doing incredible things, you know, for that time, you know, materializing because they know how things work. And surely they will have great wisdom, and there surely will be a council of incredible wise people as well, who, if one didn't know, they will ask the other, and then they will talk among themselves, and they will decide what's better for their people, and, you know, things like that, definitely. But, you know, in that kind of order of ideas, then there will be also people dealing with other tasks, which makes a tradition, you know. It's not just one person, but as you said, it's the complement of...
Wow. And another thing I really want to get your opinion on is rapé. What is? I'm not sure that I've heard it said both ways, but I've done it in ceremony.
Okay.
The ayahuasca ceremony, and it seems like an integral part to that ceremony.
Yeah.
I've also done it outside of ceremony with mixed results. And some of the let's call them spiritual gatherings. Gatherings where there's lots of like-minded spiritual people who have done lots of medicine ceremonies and whatever, and there's different things going on of a spiritual nature. There seems to be everyone is doing rapé, and you close your eyes, all you can hear is, and it's like, it is. To me, I was like, I don't know. Is that what it's for? Is that what it is? I don't know too much about it. Or is it another way I have thought about it? Are you just replacing another drug or something else and just using it to quieten your mind? But it seems excessive for people to be doing it every half an hour, every hour, and it has a sort of druggy feel to it. And it's, you know, it's really easy to buy. It's really easy to do. You know, you just shoot it up your nose, and what is your opinion on that? And do you know what some of the elders think, that this is sacred? And how do they feel like it's being used?
I happily answered that question, also saying that without the intention of saying it's the only truth. But I will speak about my personal experience with it from a place where I feel hurt quite a bit. Personally, as I said, everybody with their own practice, and, you know, with respect, I'm going to say these words, not with the intention here of offending anyone, but just by sharing my truth through it. I believe that we share things in our life in the same way that they were shared to us. If I share to you how to cook, how to make a good English tea, let's say, it's because someone showed me how to make an amazing English tea, and the same way I share. If someone just showed me in a very strange way how to make an English tea, that's the way I share this strange way of making the English tea, and the English person is going to say, why you put too much milk on it? Like it used to happen. When I would make they will say, why too much? Oh, I don't know. That's how we make the coffee in Colombia, so I don't know how you make. Right. In these ways, we share the knowledge. If the wisdom that was passed comes from a very well-sat elder, you won't pass that teaching in other ways, because that's the way you were taught. This is the way I learned. This is the way that's been shared to me. This is the way that has been passed on to me. This is the way now I pass it on to you. Right? Now, I realized that this medicine, which we call Hosca in Colombia, like any other things in life, like whatever addictions, begin with a curve. And the curve goes up, 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 and it reaches the peak. To know for how long, but it might decline later on, maybe by something else. Maybe about 3 years ago, I started realizing about that people were using it because they were buying it. I don't know, I don't come from that tradition of buying these things. So I said to myself, buying it? And where did you buy that? Oh, yeah, you can buy it online and you can get even the applicator. Oh, you buy it as well, you don't even do it yourself. Right. I'm like, what is all this about? So the beginning is easy to be judgmental because it's like, what are they doing? They're doing all this wrong. Of course, because I come from a very straight tradition on that. So then I went like, okay, let's relax and, it's not on my hands to judge this. Let's observe what happened. But what I noticed is that it obviously started increasing. So now it was for me like seeing people, it's like the new way of saying hello to someone. Hey, how are you? Blow up their nose. The way I was shared this medicine is that it was used in very specific moment. And in very specific timing. With whatever was about to happen. Because we were touching one of the doors, we were opening one of the doors of the ceremony, which was the door of the mind, or the door of our thoughts, of our dreams, of our visions. And when people arrive to ceremonies, their body arrives, but their mind hasn't arrived. Their mind is still on the job, that they didn't finish, the phone call that they need to make in a half an hour, the boring thing that happened this morning with my partner, whatever. So their body is there, but their mind is not. So we are taught to pass this medicine before starting any circle because we need the mind to come back and to be fully present with their body. And that's when we use it. Yes, of course, it's not. We don't use it. And that's good enough. Because if we go away again to that point that actually you need to use it again, and then again, what the medicine is telling you is, my dear, you have some work to do with your partner. You need to work less. You need to relax more. So you don't need me, says the medicine.
Yeah. So
you shouldn't need that. But if you aren't using it so much, the medicine is actually highlighting you that you have to make some changes in your life in order to feel more stable and not need this medicine. Because, yes, let's put together two words. Sickness, medicine. Have you taken Cambo 20 times? Well, I haven't actually needed, thankfully. But if I ever get really sick, I will. Otherwise, why I'm taking Cambo so often? Are you that sick? I mean, if you are sick, I'm sorry for that. I hope I can help you as well. And I hope that the medicine is helping you. But the medicine is highlighting you that there are changes that need to be done in your life. So, about 2 years then, like a year after, people start coming to my ceremonies. I used to do like sound work. Like I use sound, ancestral sound, as my door to reach any circles of people, so that therefore I can bring the medicine path and the ancestral path through with people, the engineer, the bank, the accountant, the people who know nothing about it. Because sound and music always is kind of wide and it allows any random people to come. Whilst if I was doing only with the medicine people, these people, well, we all know what this is all about, what to do for this. We know these things. My path is about reaching people who don't know. So I use sound as my kind of way of approaching any random circles. And through that, I bring the medicine. So I start incorporating Hoska in my circles at the end for people to root themselves and to go home really grounded and really bring back their visions and anything that happens during that ceremony back into them and really be fully present and send them back okay to home. But then people start buying it and all that. I didn't really know about these things, but it started happening. And I remember then in some ceremonies they start coming and then they start telling me, well, we had a question and it's like, do you think this medicine can be the opposite, can be contraceptive? Like, I say, it's first time ever I have heard this. I say, well, how you use it? And then she said, well, I use it every day. I said, every day? It was first time I heard that. Right, okay. So how do you use it? How many times do you use it? Well, I do it like maybe 5 times a day. 5 times a day, daily? Yeah, so my question is like now I just, instead of feeling open and all that I used to feel, now I feel blocked and actually feel like my nose is not the same and it's like I said, well, let's start from basics, from common sense. If you put up your nose powder 5 times a day, daily, what do you think is going to happen with your nose? Isn't that just common sense? It's going to block. You're going to need like one of those jars of the Indian people with sea salt and water to unblock you or other medicines that we use for unblocking. Not unblocking tobacco, but to unblock, really block sinuses and stuff like that. So I said, I was confused and I said, why did you use it? I mean, like, how come? Well, that's the way I was taught that I should use it, like for any time. So how do you use it? I said, so well, in the morning to connect with the spirit in the morning, then I'll use it. Then I go home, I go to work. And when I get like stressed at work and my mind is like all foggy and all that, so then I use it to reconnect with the spirit. So then when I'm finished work, then I just finish work and then I have it again, so to connect with the spirit again and just back into my place. Then when I get home, when I get into my altar, then I pray there in the altar to connect with the spirit. And maybe before sleeping, just I reconnect with the spirit for the dream world. And I go like, my goodness. So I said, my dear, look, maybe you need to work less. Let's start from there. If you have headaches at your work, then you need to drink more water. You need to eat more healthy food and eat food that is anti-inflammatory. Have like a good golden tea from turmeric. Anti-inflammatory food. Look in Google, inflammatory food, anti-inflammatory food. Inflammatory drinks, anti-inflammatory drinks. Start from there. Hydrate yourself and work less. Even if that is difficult, well, find a way. Because what this medicine is telling you is you're working too hard, you are inflaming yourself, you are completely going out and meditate more. Learn how to meditate. Do meditations courses where then you don't need the medicine. You see, you won't need the medicine. So, and this is the point. So the point is it became now, that's 2 years ago. And I went like, wow. I went and spoke with the elders about it. They couldn't understand either. And I can't understand still. Where does that come from? Now I have a big glimpse now. And I know that people go there, they buy like kilos of this, they bring it here. One thing that one elder told us, grandmother, she was saying, look, the best way of protecting yourself, the best way of taking care of yourself is always know what you put inside. You buy this medicine online. First question is always, who prepared it? Second basic question, what's the intention on it when it was prepared? If you don't know these things, how can you know what you're putting inside? You're putting inside a prayer that someone created. You don't even know what that prayer is and you don't even know who made it. Yeah, but people tell me, I can put my own prayer and stuff. Yes, I know that's our human thing. And no, I can do it. We don't want to hear these stories because we think they happen. I had to learn as well the bad way. I had to learn this with slaps in my face to always go to the same point of like, be careful with this medicine. So simple, look, someone has a shop and they want to sell something. What do they want? They want people not to buy once. They want people to be a customer, so they continue going, right? Because otherwise they come once and then there's not good business. Now, if people are preparing medicines for the profitable side of it, just because actually it could be good money so I can sell this, if they make this medicine with this thought, I hope that this medicine sells really well and that sells even more. Consciously or subconsciously, the prayer you are putting there is, I want you to become dependent on me.
Wow.
So you will need to buy more, because I don't want you to buy a little one. I want you to buy maybe 5 of those, or maybe even the big flask. And hopefully you eat it properly soon so you can get more. So consciously or subconsciously, that's what goes on it. So you put it in, you need more. And you finish that, you need more. And people. So I started observing this, and just this year I observed the biggest thing for me, that was the cost for me to write an article about this the other day online. And it's just because I arrived to this place and in our country, and a couple of people were actually having a panic attack and anxious moments because they had run out of what they were calling rapé. So they were coming to me on the circle right before starting the ceremony without even knowing who they were, and they were literally telling me, "Hey Anthar, do you have a rapé? I don't have rapé, and I really need it urgently. Can you give me some? I ran out of my resources. Please, I really need something right now. Can you fix me?" And I'm just like in shock hearing these words. And I was like, they put me to apparently do like a rapé Colombian circle. And I was like, we don't even call it rapé, and they put it rapé with a like rape. So it was like, what is all this going on about? So I said to this guy, "Man, I don't sell it, but can you please sit down again? I'm going to share something with you." All I did was sharing the word of this medicine, how we use it, the origins of this medicine, all this. I share stories, songs, everything. After a long sitting, I said, "This is why I'm not going to give the medicine." So people were like, "Oh, what? Oh, wow." I was like, "But look, I gave you more. I gave you more than the actual medicine, which is the word of this medicine." So I hope that this word travels with you, and you next time you're using or receiving from someone, think about this, because I'm not here to supply you some people with these desires, So just to wrap that up, I feel is not only talking about this part or judging the way that people are doing, but all I will say is common sense first and all, and recognizing that these medicines have a very, very sacred use, and that whenever you find yourself needing the medicine, any medicine, like including ayahuasca or kambo or whatever it is, if you find yourself needing it too often, even not knowing why you need it, but you need it, ask yourself of the changes that you need to do in your life. Because then surely there's other aspects and easier ways for you to be free from absolutely everything, and just use the medicine for honoring that place and say, "Thank you, medicine, for having me realized about these changes I need to make in my life, and for bringing to my life what I need in order to be free. Thank you." And that's how you use it. That's it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And the integration is often a lot harder than taking the medicine, to really ground that into your life and be like, okay, I now have to change my habits.
Yeah.
I can't just turn up to a ceremony with my comfy pillows and drink a cup of something and see these beautiful lights and wake up feeling great for 2 months.
Exactly.
It's actually, you got to meet spirit halfway.
Exactly.
And do the work yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And I told myself I'm not going to take any medicine for a year, because I sit a lot with the Wiradica,
mm-hmm.
POT, and it's brought me amazing healing. It taught me so many things.
Mm-hmm.
But the best lessons were almost the most simple.
Yeah.
And I found myself going to ceremonies to keep up a level of happiness and contentment more than happiness, I think.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, I seem to have this habit where I dip off after a month or two, and then I'm back in here, and then it's like, oh, I need to do some more peyote. I need to reconnect. I need to be around these people. I need to do this. And I was like, wow, it happened 8, 9, 10 times.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I haven't changed at all, really, because I'm just riding this wave, and I still end up down here. And I want to get to the stage where I'm up here, and then I'll start taking medicine again, because then I can put some more lessons on top of that. But it's getting taught the same lesson, and it got to the point where the spirit of the peyote was like, you're back again, and you haven't done what you said you do.
Yeah.
And it's like, should I tell you again?
Yeah.
Or like, what do you want?
Yeah.
So I totally agree. I feel like we've done over 2 hours without talking about music.
Well.
And you're a musician, amazing musician. And you brought your guitar?
Yeah, and you got some songs there as well if you ever want to, share it with people. And it's
so this is, how do you pronounce this? Is it Nahual?
Mm-hmm.
And this one?
Curandero.
And these are available to buy?
Yeah, those are available on the website antharkharana.com. And it's the first one is like Nahual. It was a journey of actually fasting with plants for over 10 days, and getting into my own kind of little studio, and just press record, and whatever was coming, that's just got imprinted in there.
Wow. Which plants were you?
All the medicines that we use from there. All the different medicines come from tobacco, mainly, and hayo. So.
And Nahual, what does this mean?
Nahual is kind of the animal spirit, the animal guides. So it was kind of inspired on that as well, and in the different animal spirits, and songs that came kind of as inspiration through that. So that's quite a journey. The whole CD, different songs, but it's kind of a little journey to hear it all. And then Curandero is from this year. I just launched it like a couple of months ago, and it was a kind of idea of creating my own medicine songs, let's say. Because quite a few people were used to ask me, like, why didn't I record a CD with medicine songs and songs that I sing in medicine ceremonies and things like that. And I was always finding, like, what for? Like, everybody's singing them, and there's lots of recordings of this. What's the point of just recording that again? And just because it's me singing them, I felt, no, I don't feel inspired to do that. I was constant. Why don't you just record just with your guitar and just press record? And until one day I said, okay, well, you know what? Okay, let's do that. And again, I sat. That was last year, at the end of last year, and I was there creating my studio once again. And as I'm just about to start recording the first song, I went, nah, this is boring. I'm not gonna do this. So I went like, no, you know what? I'm just gonna create my own songs. That's it, based on the same factors. Let's just think about the sacred smokes. Okay, let's make a song for the sacred smokes, and then bang, just came straight. Each one was coming, bang, bang, bang. It always takes me like 10 days to create a whole album. Just focus onto that. So for example, a song for the wind people. There's not really many songs about air, about wind, so let's create one for them. Let's create a song for the stones of the inipi, bang. And so I created my own compositions, and I thought, well, maybe people might want to sing them in ceremonies as well. So there's a booklet there with the lyrics and the translation of the lyrics as well. So I thought that could be interesting for people too. So there is now, funny enough, now not many people have a CD player. Invest lots of logistics into creating a CD, and these days people tell me, well, actually, do you have it downloadable? Because I don't really have any CD player. So yeah, there is a downloadable version, the website. You can actually download it, and the lyrics and everything are there as well. So yeah, it's kind of the...
Well, I listened on SoundCloud before you came on, and they're awesome, man.
Thank you.
Really amazing, and I'm doubly grateful that they're on CD because my car is so old that I don't have any way else to play them. So finally I have music in my car, man.
Get in the car, yeah.
So thank you very much.
Lovely.
Amazing. Thank you so much for coming on. I feel like
thank you for inviting. Yeah, no, it's happy. And with these things, it's tricky because, like a grandmother said, you ask for talking, then it's tricky to stop you talking. It's just like, it's so much that's lovely to share. But thank you for opening these spaces, and more than happy to come anytime to share any of these beautiful topics of life. Yeah.
Thank you, brother. Hopefully we can do it again sometime.
Lovely.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, my bro. Thank you, man.
So there you have it. You can find Anthar at tribalsoundhealing.com, and that website has all the information for his next ceremonies and retreats. He's also co-created the first school of sound healing in Scotland called the Ansu School of Sound and Tribal Healing Arts. That's Ansu is ANSU, all in capitals. You can buy his CDs online. You can find him on SoundCloud under his name, Anthar Kharana. And as always, there will be links to these websites in the video description on the YouTube channel. Much love. Thank you for listening.